Hi, welcome to UML session. In this session, we will be discussing about various relationships, class diagrams and notations which are used in UML. So, relationship basically provides a direction for communicating between various objects or classes. So, there are various kinds of relationship we will see as we move forward. The sequence or collaboration diagrams are examined to determine what links between objects need to exist to accomplish the behavior. Let us assume if two objects need to talk. Now, if two objects need to talk, there must be a link between them. Now, how to understand this? Let us think about the relationship between a father and a child is, depending on that, a communication happens between them, or relationship between a husband and wife, based on that relationship a communication happens. So, that kind of a relationship is very important to understand the behavior of the communication between two objects or classes. So, that is why relationship between various components is very important. Now, what are the basic types of relationship which are analyzed and discussed in UML relationship? Think about that. Now, there are 5 types of relationship generally we focus on. First one is called association relationship. Next one is called dependency relationship. Third one is called aggregation or composition relationship. Fourth one is called generalization relationship. Fifth one is called realization relationship. Now, all of these relationships are between various objects or classes. So, we will see that how the objects and classes have this kind of a relationship and how they communicate with each other to define a model for your system. Now, what is association relationship? Association relationship is a very simplistic relationship. It is a bidirectional between the classes, and it is shown as a line connecting the related classes. So, it is very simple. A association relationship is shown as a line connecting the two related classes. The example of this we will see in the following UML diagrams. What is aggregation relationship? Aggregation or composition, also known as composition, basically what it says is that it is a kind of a part of concept it comes. Like what is, let us think about an example. If we have an example like car or tire, car or engine, car or steering. So, we can see that car is a part of tire is a part of car, engine is a part of car, steering is a part of car. So, this is basically the relationship between a car and this one is called aggregation relationship. Okay. So, this is what we call a, so the relationship between what happens is that we have a car and this one. An aggregation is shown as a line connecting the related classes with a diamond next to the class representing the aggregate, the whole. So, how it will come like this? Let me just show you this. So, if there is a car, we will say car, and then there is a engine. This is another object called engine. Okay. Now, in this one, the relationship here is that you create a small diamond kind of a structure diagram and then you put like this. So, what happens is that this one becomes your relationship between car and engine, where the class representing aggregate has a diamond close to it. So, this relationship is called aggregation relationship. Same way you can have a car and a tire, car and a steering. That kind of a relationship is called aggregation relationship. And most important factor what you have to remember is that it's basically aggregation or composition is shown as a line connecting the related classes with a filled in diamond next to the class representing aggregate. So, that is the whole important thing. Now, dependency relationship. A dependency relationship is a weaker form of a relationship showing a relationship between a client and a supplier, where the client does not have semantic knowledge of the supplier. So, basically what it says is that a client depends on supplier, but it does not have a much semantic knowledge of the supplier. So, that kind of a relationship is called client and supplier. Okay. A dependency is shown as dashed line pointing from the client to the supplier. Okay. So, if we have a relationship where the client is depending on a supplier, then so let us think about this. So, we will see that one example where is that we have a book supplier, and then there is a relationship like this and there is a buyer. So, how does it work? So, the relationship between these two are of dependency relationship, because buyer does not have a semantic knowledge of how supplier works, but it depends on this. So, this relationship is called dependency relationship, and it is always pointed by dashing line pointing from the client to the suppliers. Okay. In this case, buyer does not need to know how the book supplier works, or book supplier does not need to tell the details how he supplies the book to the buyer. He just places a record and he services the request, but he does not have a lot of semantic knowledge of the supplier itself. Now, let us understand little bit about generalization relationship. A generalization is a relationship between a more general and a more specific elements. Now, here inheritance is the main property of generalization specialization relationship defined between a superclass and its subclass. Common attributes, operations or relationship are shown at the highest applicable level in the hierarchy. Now, here the important thing to understand is it is a relationship between more general and more specific. See, the relationship is more general and more specific. These two are the important word. So remember, the important word is more general to more specific. So what kind of a relationship we can think of? Think about, we define a financial institution and then we define another object or class called bank or central governing body like RBI or a hedge fund company or a mutual fund company. All of these are a specific form of a more general form called bank. So from bank, these are the specific elements, and here the inheritance is the main property which is used of generalization specialization relationship. So from generalization to specialization, okay, we will see this relationship coming very quickly in our diagrams as well. Realization is a relationship defined between a type and its implementation classes. So that's very simple. Now let us see what are the various notations we use it. We have seen that composition and aggregation has a diamond kind of a thing. Okay, so this is composition and aggregation. What is this? This is called a dependency. This is for dependency, this is for composition, and this is for aggregation. This is for generalization and this is for realization. So these are the various notation we use to provide. Now for association, a employer has many employees associated with an employer. So it is one to many relationship. Okay, this is a association relationship. Employer employs employee or employee is associated with an employer. So this is called association relationship. Now this is a dependency relationship. Dependency relationship is a relationship in which a client depends on supplier, but client does not have a details about the semantic of supplier. What it means is that client does not know how the internally the supplier works, and how it works, it is a dotted line, we use it for this one. Now come to aggregation or composition. In aggregation or composition, the whole part is towards this diamond and it is part of or aggregate of. So aggregation is like this, composition is like this. Generalization. Generalization is a straight arrow with superclass. Towards superclass you will put this arrow, and towards subclass there is nothing. So it means that this is a subclass of this. So there is an inheritance relationship going on between here. This subclass inherits superclass. So this can be your financial institution and this can be a bank, mutual fund company, hedge fund company, RBI central financial institutions, loan company. All of them can be a subclass of a superclass called financial institutions. Okay. Now realization is basically you define a class, type class, it is basically interface and implementation class. So realization means that you define a high level contract in terms of an interface and then you provide a implementation of that type of class. Or it can be this types here, it can be a interface or abstract class, this is implementation class. So that is the kind of a relationship we try to use it in UML relationship and notations. So just let me just repeat it. Association is this kind of a relationship, dependency is this, you use the dotted notation, composition you use the diamond, generalization you use a triangle, realization you use a triangle with a dotted line, generalization is a triangle with bold line. Okay. So these are the standard notation we will use to define and declare a relationship.